on television, radio, online, and mobile. In more than 40 languages all day, every day, millions of people tune us in.
How do I see the world? On Voice of America.
And welcome back to the Correspondents on Voice of America. I'm Mil Arcega in Washington. Well, March 8th, as many of you know, was designated International Women's Day to focus a spotlight on the achievements of women around the world and the obstacles that half of the world's population still face. Now, sometimes simply being born female is an obstacle in itself. But one organization is trying to help girls and women in Kenya overcome gender-based barriers, such as the lack of education. Here's VOA's Julie Taboh with one girl's story.
I'm going to hold your hand, okay?
Gloria Kotente Mometa is training to be a doctor.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah. As a medical student from Kenya, she's learned a great deal in the 8 weeks she's spent in hospitals in and around Washington.
So this is the right kidney.
And she hopes to share that newfound knowledge with her peers back home.
There's a ventilator in the back.
Seeing a young woman receive medical training is not an unusual sight in a large hospital like this, except Gloria is a Maasai, an ethnic patriarchal tribe in Kenya and northern Tanzania in which less than half of all girls attend primary school and only 1% go to college.
Will you stick that?
Gloria's journey began when she learned about the Maasai Girls Education Fund. It was founded in 1999 by Barbara Shaw, an American who believed that educating girls will empower them, their families, and their communities, and lift them out of poverty.
MGF Barbara song.
Shaw died in 2013, but her daughter, Tracy Piles, is continuing her mother's work. The number of girls helped by the organization has now grown to more than 150. Gloria is the first to go to medical school and train at Suburban Hospital, where Piles works as an emergency physician.
Someone like this needs, in my opinion, to be invested in, supported, given every opportunity to make the most, because what she has the chance to do when she goes home is incredible.
And it is an incredible story. VOA's Julie Taboh is in the studio with me. She, along with the help from Nairobi reporter Jill Craig, put together that report you just heard. Thank you for being here, Julie. You know, this is a kind of story we don't see often enough. And I just want to hear from you. How did you get involved with this inspirational story?
Well, thank you for having me, Mil. And as a reporter, you know that we often get story ideas from people. And when I first heard about this, I thought, I have to be involved in some way. And the bonus was, this is happening in Kenya, in Kajiado County in Kenya. And when I found out that one of their girls, who's going through the Maasai Girls Education Fund, that's got a headquarters there and here as well, is coming here as the first medical student that the organization has sponsored. I was so excited to learn she's coming right here to Suburban Hospital, which is just outside Washington, as you know. And we sort of were on standby. Whenever she comes, we'll be there. And so she did her rotation at Suburban as well as the National Institute of Health, also in Maryland. And I was able to go with my cameraman, Adam, and we spent a day shadowing her. And she just basically did a rotation, learning how to use an ultrasound with one of the wonderful doctors, Dr. Danny Westerban there, with Tracy Piles, who's now the president of the organization, and interview her and interview Tracy and just learn about the foundation.
You know what is so remarkable about Gloria's story is not so much where she comes from, but what Tracy Piles had to say, the fact that this is what you can accomplish, even though it's just a story of when a whole community, when a lot of people come together, they can make a huge difference, right?
Exactly. I mean, it takes a village, but sometimes it takes the dedicated effort of people outside of that village to help that village. Absolutely. As Tracy has often pointed out to me, you educate a boy, you educate a boy. And sometimes he'll go back to his community and serve the people in his community. But when you educate a girl, Tracy said there has been, as far as the history of the organization, no one who hasn't gone back to serve their community. And these are women who not only getting educated, they're coming back as teachers, nurses, Gloria being the first to become a doctor. She's in her last year now and plans to go back and serve her community. And also they have community workshops that help the entire community. So boys women, men, everyone who's involved in that community.
But tell me more about Gloria's community, the Maasai community where she grew up in. Is this largely a farming village where she comes from? And I guess my question to you is how much pushback does an organization like Maasai Girls Education Fund experience when they try to convince these people, hey, we're going to take your girl, we're going to try to help her out?
That's a very good question, because girls are routinely denied education. They are basically married off at a very young age. Forced marriage is very prevalent, as is FGM. And what's happening is when these girls are being educated, they are not only now getting an opportunity not to be forced into marriage, not to have FGM done on them, female genital mutilation, but when they go back educated as nurses, as teachers, as working people, they are lifting up the whole community. So before, if there was pushback, now some cases like Gloria's, the family did approve of her education and she was in school, but they run out of money. That happens a lot of times, is they run out of money, and so this is where the organization basically picks up the slack and helps them. And when they see the chiefs of the communities and the fathers see their daughters come back and help the community and improve their housing condition, improve their lives, then they become convinced. And as Tracy rightly points out, she said, you can't go into a culture and say, I know better, this is what you need to do. When they're empowered themselves and the girls see for themselves and the community see for themselves, that's when they're convinced.
How can people get involved?
Well, they can go onto their website, which is www.MaasaiGirlsEducation.org.
I believe we have a graphic for that. So people can just check out their website and make a donation or find out what they're doing. Get information,
make donation, right? Learn a lot more about it, a lot of the other girls.
Are they growing? Is this group
They're planning
seeing more
to expand to other areas of Kenya where there are other Maasai living, and they are planning to double the amount of girls going to school in the next 5 years.
It's so appropriate to talk about this story, International Women's Day this week. Thank you so much, Julie, for pointing that out. That's all the time we have, but we will be back again next week for another edition of The Correspondents. I hope you'll join us. In the meantime, stay up to date with the latest news from around the world. voanews.com. Tell us what you think. I'm your host, Mil Arcega, and for now, so long from Washington.